Horizon Forbidden West has gone gold, so no more delays. But that's not the only good news, because I collected some info on some very interesting quality of life changes that should make our journey through the brand new area more pleasant. Like changes to the health system, brand new upgrades, skills, and I got a little bit more info on that awesome arena. But what you're seeing right here is PS4 Pro gameplay. Yeah, I'm not kidding, it really looks this good. And that also reveals some cool new things. So we got a ton to go over. Of course, if you are hyped for the Forbidden West and enjoy the content, then totally leave a like on the video. That would really help me out, and let's go. But first, the sponsor of this video, my go-to VPN, Surfshark. Not using a VPN while browsing the internet is namely not smart, because then everyone can see your IP address and you become a very easy target for hackers and phishing. Especially on a public Wi-Fi, it's crucial to protect your identity with a VPN, and Surfshark is really easy to use, available on all your devices, and also has an extension for your browser, so you can very easily switch to a different server to watch content that is not available in your region on YouTube or Netflix, for example. Like the Harry Potter movies are not on Netflix normally, but if you switch to a server in Turkey, you can watch those movies. And Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in 65 different countries, so yeah, there are a lot of options. And I now got a special deal for you, namely 83% off and 3 extra months for free if you check the special link in the video description. Would of course support the channel as well. And now let's get back into it. We got our first look at an Utaru settlement in Plainsong, a region that in particular got affected by the red blight that we as Aloy of course try to solve, harming their fields that the Utaru like to harvest. And well, above these fields we have these sort of tree houses that look like nothing we've ever seen before in Horizon. I like how the guards greet Aloy here. A little later we see some kids and other characters walk around. And again, this is PS4 Pro footage. It looks stunning. I'm curious if maybe in the PS5 version there will be like more NPCs in a settlement at the same time. Like sure, in the Chain Scrape PS5 footage, it seems to be that there are more people on the streets, but we don't have Chain Scrape PS4 footage right now. But yeah, overall impressed by how the game looks on PS4 Pro. I think the biggest enhancement on PS5 will totally be the 60 frames per second. That totally proved to be a game changer for Zero Dawn. Although, if you don't know what you miss, it will of course still be great, as we all see in this brand new combat footage against the new Clamberjaw monkey type machine that are really agile, so using freezing arrows is really smart. And we see Aloy use the new short bow we all saw as part of the Digital Deluxe Edition items. Seems like we can charge that up real fast, and you also see Aloy use 3 of these freezing arrows at the same time without having to load them up each time. Well, this is likely one of the 3 firing options that different weapons have now, and that we can then switch between on the fly via the weapon wheel. But seems like we have to unlock these firing options first after spending skill points. But then from the looks of it, you can instantly load up 3 arrows and shoot them at the same time, which is great with freezing arrows to freeze machines faster, to slow them, and likely still do more damage as well, right? Because as you likely remember, in Zero Dawn there was a pro tactic you could use against every machine. So I'm curious if they maybe tweaked the element a bit in the sequel or made it less powerful against certain foes. We now see Aloy follow up with a Valor Surge, which is something you can activate with R1, as we all see in the weapon wheel. And these are linked to one of the 6 skill lines in this game. We don't have like footage of the skill menu yet, but we do know that the skill lines will be Warrior, Trapper, Hunter, Survivor, Infiltrator, and Machine Master. And in order to unlock these Valor Surges, you first have to unlock the skills that surround them. So far we've seen that increased charged up heavy attack and also the electric blast Aloy did in the summer gameplay, but there should be way more of these abilities in the final game. And we now also learned that these anti-personnel mines actually lure machines towards your location, so that's why the Shell Snapper approached Aloy here. Might be a nice tactic to put more traps in that location then. And speaking of traps, Aloy put down what seemed to be a blast trap, but when the Clamberjaw approached it, it also breaks the rocks. likely because of the service. A pretty cool new effect. And these traps are of course craftable on the fly or at a workbench, and near a workbench in the many settlements we also find a stash, which I touched on in my previous video. You can store some items here, and I will, by the way, leave a link to that video with way more info at the end of this one. And after that video I did some extra digging and found out that the herbs are still in this game, although it seems to work kinda different compared to the bar that we saw under our health in Zero Dawn. IGN namely mentions that they could hold 10 herbs at one time, but while in Zero Dawn, after your bar was full, you could not grab more berries. Now in Forbidden West, the extra berries you grab will be sent to your stash immediately with a max capacity of 60. And then when on an adventure and you run out of berries, you can press up on the D-pad to refill your inventory with these herbs based on the amount you still have in your stash. So there's a way lower chance that you run out of health items before a battle, which is just amazing. In settlements we will find herbalists for potions, hunters for weapons, stitchers for outfits, likely instead of having just one merchant for everything. And there are also cooks now. And if you give them the right ingredients, they give you food you can carry or I think eat immediately, which then gives you a buff for example, your health. It's only for a short time, just a few minutes or maybe longer later on in the game, but it can be nice when you know that you got a tough encounter ahead of you. Just use some food to get the extra buffs. I'm not sure if you can use food for the arena, but if you can, it will be very helpful. I already touched on this optional activity in my previous video, and we now learned, thanks to GamePro.de, that there are multiple difficulty levels for these encounters that we have to complete as fast as possible in order to earn medals for some of the best equipment in the game. So difficulties we should expect are amateur, advanced, professional, and maybe even higher than that. And then the faster you are, the higher you will also be on the online leaderboard. I'm personally curious though if your game settings difficulty matters, because otherwise you would just turn it on easy to get a way higher score, so I hope they thought about that. Other activities that should give us some nice loot are the salvage contracts, where we have to hunt for machine parts for outfitters who are working on an incredible outfit for Aloy. So maybe that can rival the Shield Weaver from the first game. We of course still have the Shield Weaver. It's now called the Nora Anointed Armor, but it's broken. And we already had theories regarding the Shield Wing glider and how the fact that the Shield Weaver is broken might have to do with this glider. Well, Jonathan, who played the game, noted on IGN's podcast Beyond that the Shield Wing was first used for several purposes, but right now, in its state, it can only do so much. So kind of hinting at the fact that we might be able to restore the power of the Shield Wing, making it maybe better, but also that we might use that power to power up the Shield Weaver at some point again. Not confirmed, but maybe the two are connected after all. And good to note is that there's no stamina meter for gliding, by the way. So you can just glide down for a really long time to negate the fall damage when you're higher up. So while some special weapons are linked to side missions, like the brand new Javelin Thrower is a reward for a side mission in Chain Scrape, so very early on in the game, the Shield Wing and the Poolcaster and other crucial tools will be earned by playing through the main story, so you cannot miss them. Likely the same for the underwater mask, I would imagine, that let us breathe indefinitely. We still haven't seen a lot of underwater gameplay, and that is really because it seems to be further into the game, while most of the things we've seen so far are really from the first few hours. And speaking of that Javelin Thrower, I thought this was interesting. So it's really powerful, it blows up the machine very easily, but by using it you will destroy components of that machine. So if you're hunting for specific parts to, for example, upgrade your gear, weapons, or for that special, powerful armor, it's way smarter to use other weapons first so you don't damage those parts and shoot them off before switching to this powerful Javelin Thrower. something to keep in mind. And I'll of course have way more tips and tricks, news videos, update videos, and way more as we get close to release and afterwards. So totally subscribe for everything Horizon Forbidden West if you haven't already. There will be no story spoilers on the channel whatsoever. A like on the video would really help me out. Check out my previous video by clicking on the screen on way more new details. And of course check Surfshark via the link in the pinned comment. Thanks for the sponsor. For now, I'll speak to you in the next one. Goodbye.